Nice to see you. So for doing the slides.
So I think there's something there at the table.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of Rohnert Park City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, March the 11th. Could you please conduct a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Adams?
Here.
Councilmember Elward?
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez is absent. Vice Mayor Sanborn?
Here.
Mayor Giudice?
Present.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you please stand and join me for the land acknowledgement and then the salute to the flag? The City of Rohnert Park acknowledges indigenous peoples are the traditional stewards of the land. Let it be acknowledged that the City of Rohnert Park is located within the traditional homelands of the Federated Indians of Great and Rancheria, comprised of Coast Miwok and Southern Pomo people. Thank you. And we've got Ryan from SSU who's going to lead us in the salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, we're going to start with presentations, and unfortunately, Councilmember Rodriguez is absent, so we're going to postpone the recognition of her becoming Woman of the Year for District 12 until the next meeting, but hopefully she's feeling better. And if you're watching at home, Samantha, we're thinking about you, and we're all wearing pink in your honor tonight. So, second up, I'll do the proclamation, since this is very appropriately Women's History Month. Whereas women have always played a critical role in shaping the economic, cultural, and social fabric of our society through their participation in the labor force, working both inside and outside the home in leadership positions and through creative inspiration. Whereas Women's History Month provides an opportunity for schools and communities to expand and enhance what our children and our community know about women's roles in history and their contributions to the development of this nation. Whereas the story of American women is a story of women of all ages, races, cultural backgrounds who led campaigns for equality and civil rights, advanced professional and educational opportunities, founded entirely new enterprises, and contributed significantly to the arts, sciences, and humanistic causes. Whereas women from every background have long realized that an uneven playing field will never bring equality or justice, and that we all need to eliminate bias and discrimination entirely for our lives and our institutions. Whereas the 2025 theme for Women's History Month is Moving Forward Together, women educating and inspiring generations, which celebrate the collective strength and influence of women who have dedicated their lives to education, mentorship, and leadership. Whereas Women's History Month is both a call to acknowledge outstanding women we know by name and to pay homage to the education of nameless women who have contributed to our nation. Now, therefore, I, Gerard Giudice, on behalf of the City Council, in recognition of the significant role played by women whose courage and vision inspire hope for today's women and make tomorrow's history, proclaim the month of March 2025 as Women's History Month in the City of Rohnert Park, duly and regularly proclaimed this 11th day of March 2025. And before I welcome the recipients of this, let me just say, as a gentleman sitting here with all of these women, I acutely recognize the role that they have played in my life, and the richness, truly the richness that they bring to this council and this town. So we have two folks here. We're going to recognize Melanie Jones Carter. She's the vice chair of the Sonoma County Commission on the Status of Women, District 3. And then we also have Katarina Giudice White. And we'd like to invite them up to come and say a couple of words, and then we'll get some words from the council and we'll take a picture. Good evening.
Hello, is it on? Thank you, Mayor, and the members of the council for this proclamation. We are honored to be here today, especially because this national organization got a start right here in Sonoma County. As you said, I'm the vice chair, and I'm joined by Katarina today. This year's theme is For All Women and Girls, Rights, Equality, and Empowerment. And we can certainly use that now. At a time, certainly, when women's rights are being challenged on a daily basis. Even as we speak, there are calls to remove women that had done some great accomplishment from the history books. And let's not forget the elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion will set women back to the future. You ask, what can you do? International Women's Day has created 32 specific tasks and actions that people can take. Here are a few. Support women-focused charities. Organize award ceremonies that recognize women, just as you did today. Mentor women. Call out gender bias every time you see it or hear it. Advocate for policy change by writing to local and national leaders. There's a new app called 5 Calls. You can do 5 things each day. It will remind you to write, to think about something, or to do something. Make those calls specific to women's issues. Locally, the Commission on the Status of Women provides resources to the Board of Supervisors on issues affecting women. This year, our focus is on mental health, homelessness, and immigration support. I'd like to leave you with a quote by one of my favorite authors, Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that can. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
She says thank you.
Of course. Any comments from my colleagues before? Please, Jackie.
Well, I want to thank the both of you. I personally know both of you, and I know the work that you do every single day in our community. Melanie, you bring something new, something fresh, and Katarina, you bring the vibrant and dedicated part of the youth and the new younger generation that is coming. So I'm really happy to see this happening. And yeah, I just said that. She's young. She's young, and it's a new generation, at least for me, coming up and rising. And I am so proud that you guys are recognized today.
Thank you.
Please, Councilmember Adams.
I just wanted to mention that, as you can see, Mayor Duche is outnumbered here, but to all of you men in the room, the #1 key to survival is good listening. And that is something that he does very well. So I think we need to honor that and call it out today as well. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Vice Mayor? Thank you, Susan. Vice Mayor?
Nothing to add.
I have nothing additional to add, except I also have a proclamation here for Oprah Eisler, who could not make it this evening. You can take it with you and present it to her when you do your next commission. Perfect. Now we're going to take a picture.
Thank you.
And then I'll give this to you to take. Okay. Okay, next up, we're going to hear a presentation from Sonoma County Water Agency for fiscal year 2025-2026, proposed water transmission system budget and rates. And we welcome you both to the dais. And who will be leading this?
Thank you. Jake Spalding, Finance Manager with Sonoma Water.
Good evening.
And I'm here with
Lynn Rosselli, Administrative Services Division Manager.
And welcome to you as well.
Thank you for having us. So real quick, we're going to give you a brief overview of our fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget and rates for the water transmission system. And then at the end of this presentation, if you guys have any questions, Lynn and I are obviously happy to answer them. So each year we do develop an annual budget for the water transmission system to cover our operations, maintenance, capital, as well as regulatory demands. And as our system ages, and it switched already, similar to your system, there's a heightened need for additional infrastructure repairs and upgrades so that we can continue to reliably operate and maintain the system 24/7 to all of our benefit. And hopefully this isn't on a timer that's going to keep going. So as you can see on the slide, the water transmission system has 3 main aqueducts, the Santa Rosa in purple, the Petaluma in purple. Well, I can't see that well. And the Sonoma in green. You guys are obviously served off the Petaluma aqueduct. Each one of these aqueducts, each one of these aqueducts is outlined in the restructured agreement, and so what it says is basically each contractor pays the rate associated with the aqueduct that they're served off of. So not everyone pays the exact same rate. Sonoma Water, we are proud of the transparent and collaborative process that we go through annually with our budgeting. Typically what we do is we take a draft budget to the TAC Ad Hoc Budget Subcommittee in mid-January, and then we work with all the water contractors until finally bringing it to our board in mid-April. Did want to say thank you to Vanessa Garrett and Courtney Bowser, who participated in this committee this year, and we definitely value all the input that they had into that process. And also happy that the TAC did vote unanimously to recommend this to the WAC at their last meeting. So real quick, the water transmission system, it's not just one fund, it's multiple funds. As I mentioned before, the types of those funds are shown here. Each one of these funds does have its own budget and rate, and then those are combined to make a composite rate, which is what the contractors actually pay. So Sonoma Water, we're facing many challenges, or several challenges. Some of them are unique to us, some of them are not unique to us, and they're more standard within the industry. So one of our unique challenges is that we have a fully volumetric rate, and that means, when you have low deliveries, as we've had for the past several years, that puts additional pressure on rate increases going forward. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, challenges that are similar to everyone in the industry, including the city of Rohnert Park, and that's that we all operate critical infrastructure. It's got to operate 24/7. It's integral to public health and safety, and yet, after decades of reliable service, it's aging, and as it increases in age, we do have additional needs in the system. Oh, sorry. Most of our facilities, they're now 45 to 65 years old. About 40% of them currently have only 10 to 20% of their useful life remaining. And not too different than, owning an aging car. Maintenance needs increase with age, and then eventually you might need to replace the car itself with a newer model. To address these challenges, Sonoma Water is currently developing an asset management program. We've done preliminary condition assessments on both the transmission and the distribution systems. And, a large portion of our assets, as expected, are in less than ideal condition. So we're working also on a 20-year comprehensive water master plan. And this plan is going to incorporate the data from these assessments and from the asset management program. And it's going to provide us with a better picture of the costs, the needs, and the sequencing that we need to do in order to keep the system operating reliably. Lastly, we have the challenge of natural hazards, as we all do. Our primary hazards are flood, fire, and earthquake. Earthquakes being the biggest vulnerability to the system, both in terms of potential disruptions to service as well as cost. So the budget that we're presenting today does take efforts to address all of these challenges. Sonoma Water, you know, we're dedicated to serving our community, securing our future through responsible resource and environmental stewardship. We're always pushing for technical innovation with things like better forecasting of weather. You know, we're investing in our critical infrastructure, and we're always striving to effectively manage our fiscal condition. We've highlighted a few of the programs here on this slide that we accomplish in collaboration with all the water contractors. You know, I'm not going to read them all, but common themes are things like resiliency, hazard mitigation, water conservation and education programs, as well as habitat enhancement related to the biological opinion. We have more information on all of this. I believe it's in the packet that we sent out, and if anyone's interested, it's also on our website. So what's in the budget this year? On the capital side, we have several hazard mitigation projects. 2 of these are on the Petaluma Aqueduct. That's the Eli Booster Pump Station, as well as the Wilfred Booster Pump Station. So those 2 are going to be directly benefiting the city. We have been able to secure about $12.6 million in federal funding through FEMA to advance hazard mitigation projects like these over the past several years, and we anticipate seeking additional funding to help offset local costs going forward. In addition to hazard mitigation projects, we do have water resiliency capital projects as well. You can see there's a long list of them on this slide. There are a lot of projects that we are working on. You know, things that we fund through this are things like the Santa Rosa Plain Wells project, which I believe everyone's familiar with, which gives us extra reliability during drought periods because we can pull water out of the ground. There's also some large multi-year projects on there, such as the Water Treatment System Modernization Project, which is a very large multi-year effort that's going to replace a lot of our critical infrastructure. So the total capital program between the hazard mitigation and the resiliency projects is about $18.3 million. On the O&M side, we've highlighted a few of the projects, the high priority ones that on here. You know, in addition to routine maintenance, there's projects that we do every year. Some of the big ones on here are like the Aqueduct Cathodic Protection Program that prevents corrosion within the pipeline, a 10-year, $88 million tank recoat and maintenance program, as well as emergency inventory procurement. So we have the supplies on hand if disaster does strike. On our sub-fund side, this funds things like the biological opinion, water supply planning, and water conservation. We have completed about 5 miles of the Dry Creek Habitat Enhancement Project to date. We do have significant cost savings there because the U.S. Army Corps picks up about 65% of the cost share on that. And Sonoma Water and the Sonoma Marin Water Saving Partnership continue to implement a very robust and award-winning program on water conservation and education. And that, because it's so prominent and wins all these awards, it does continue to attract grant funding every year from both the federal and the state government. So what does the total budget look like? Well, when you combine all those different funds together, the total proposed budget is about $82 million. We're offsetting that with about $21 million in grants, use of fund balance, and bond proceeds. Of note, you know, this budget, it is $7.6 billion more than the prior fiscal year budget, and that's really to address the O&M and capital needs that I talked about. Do also want to point out that the capital program is fully funded by grants, loans, use of fund balance, and bond proceeds. That being said, there is a need to issue a new bond in this fiscal year, and that's going to be about a $33 million revenue bond that's going to cover the capital program for the next 3 years. It will also be the first time that the Petaluma Aqueduct customers are bonding as part of that to pay for those 2 projects that I mentioned earlier. So there is a charge on the Petaluma Aqueduct for those bond charges. Just to show you real quick where our costs go, as you can see, operations and maintenance is our biggest category. It's about 56% of our budget. That's followed by capital projects at about 22%, with the sub-funds and debt service rounding out the total. So I mentioned earlier that, you know, we have a fully volumetric rate, which is a challenge for us. Just to give you a quick primer on how this works. What the restructured agreement for water supply says is that we take, in essence, the cost of operations and maintenance of the system, and we divide that by the amount of water sold. And it stipulates that we need to use the lesser of either the average of the last three annual average or the last 12 months. And that gives us basically a cost per acre foot. And once again, this is a simplified example because it's a little more complicated than that. But what this shows you once again is that with a fully volumetric rate, when water deliveries are lower, our rate increase is going to be higher. The lower of the two numbers this year is the 3-year annual average. That's the 42,407 acre feet number. And just of note, that is 1% lower than what the number that we used in the budget last year. So there was additional pressure put on the rates by that. Just to kind of talk about it a little bit more, a pretty minor or a small increase or decrease in deliveries can have a pretty large effect on the rate change. This year, we're calculating that a 500 acre foot amount of water is equal about 1.3% in change to the rate. So you can see 500, is somewhat minor compared to the 42,400 there, but so it does move it quite a bit. Okay, so Sonoma Water, we do recognize that rate increases are tough to swallow. We have had multiple years of drought, mandated conservation measures, and that has driven these low water sales, which has led to low water revenue and has really eaten into some of our fund balances. So we haven't had as much of that to use to offset rate increases. When you combine that with the increasing operations and maintenance costs and some of these large projects that we need to do, that has put additional pressure on rate increases. That being said, we did really aim to analyze the projects and prioritize things so that we could bring the rate increase down. We first worked with our staff to do that, and then we worked with the budget subcommittee to make additional revisions to the rate. In doing that, we did locate or identify about $11 million in operations costs that we could push out related to non-routine, lower priority maintenance projects, as well as about $88 million in capital projects that we could push off as well, outside of that 3-year bonding window that I mentioned earlier. The effect of this is that we were able to bring the rate increase down from over 40% to the 10.76% that you're seeing for the Petaluma Aqueduct today. And finally, just to show you a little bit more detailed look at the different charges that go into the rate. Once again, this is based off the 3-year annual average. Rate increases range from 7.6 to 10.76%. The water contractors do also have the option to add a discretionary aqueduct capital charge. And what this charge is used for is to build fund balance so that you have money to pay for future capital projects on the aqueduct. So it's kind of like a rate stabilization tool. The Petaluma Aqueduct customers did elect as a group to institute a $10 charge on that to help build fund balance for future capital projects. So, there's kind of three, you look at the different rates and you can see that Petaluma is the higher of the three. There's a couple different things that are going into this. One, it started off at a lower basis, so every dollar change did increase the rate increase a little bit more. Reinstituting the $10 capital charge also was a factor. And then finally, the need to bond for the first time on the aqueduct did add that capital bonding charge on there at $15.66. So, while it is higher than the others, this budget really is integral to making sure that we can operate and maintain our infrastructure for the benefit of all of the residents. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Lynn.
Okay, so we wanted to give you an example of the long-range financial plan scenario. This is an example of on the Petaluma Aqueduct, an example rate scenario, and based on the suite of projects in the long-range financial plan and water demands increasing by 1% per year, We project that, given the schedule of the projects, that there would be 10.6% increases over the next 5 years, potentially. We redo this every year, and we'll reevaluate every year. Obviously, higher deliveries means, that it will have a significant impact on those rate increases. And this estimates 5% growth in O&M expenses, operations and maintenance expenses, and 4% growth in capital costs, with financing of $114.5 million over that 5-year period. Next slide. So this slide is one we show every year. It's the wholesale water rates per acre foot for other wholesalers in the Greater Bay Area. And we're on the far left there, so we have the lowest rates of the other contractors or water wholesalers that are shown there. And we have been able to, keep rates lower during COVID and during emergencies and during, when there were economic situations where, the community simply could not pay. This is just to give you a little bit of a perspective on how our rates compare to other wholesale water agencies. Next slide. So the Technical Advisory Committee, as Jake mentioned, they voted on March 3rd unanimously to approve the water rates to the Water Advisory Committee. The Water Advisory Committee will vote on April 7th, and then we're taking it to our board on April 22nd. And then we'd just like to provide in the package a list of links to our website and other locations where you can see some videos of our maintenance projects and to see how they work and what we're doing to get a better perspective on what's involved. And so we encourage everyone to take advantage of that and go and see them and let us know if you have questions. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, and I appreciate the presentation. And although this is a presentation, I'd like to ask any members of the public who would like to speak on this. We're more than welcome to do so. Okay, seeing none, I'll turn to my colleagues, please.
Thank you. I remember you last year and the year before and the year before that telling us that the less water we use, the higher the cost. So one of my neighbors is here. Raise your hand in the back so they know who they're talking to. There you go. Can you explain to him why that's the case for me?
Explain.
Why is it the less water we use, the higher the rate?
Because it's a volumetric rate. It's fully volumetric. Most of our costs are fixed costs. So that means that, we have pipes in the ground and tanks. They all require maintenance, as Jake mentioned. They're aging. Our infrastructure is aging. So we still have to output the dollars to do the maintenance and the capital improvements. But if the slide that Jake showed with, the costs divided by the water deliveries gives us the rate. And so you end up paying more when deliveries remain low. However, you're paying less than you would if we had to build some very expensive, large capacity projects, like, another aqueduct or pipeline or another storage tank, right? So your rate increases would be extremely more higher than they would be in a situation such as a drought, where you are paying a little bit more, but you're using less water. So maybe your bill goes down a little bit if you use less water. Anything else you wanted to mention?
That's excellent. That's kind of what I was looking for. But it's hard really sometimes to explain to people that no matter how much water we use, this is the amount it costs to maintain everything. Right.
Yeah.
Right? And I just was curious if the city manager could maybe just let us know a little bit about how these water rates affect our city budget.
So with respect to the impacts to our budget, we account for certain increases. Obviously, when you have these types of increases, we can, more than likely we'll dip into our fund balance to be able to cover it. And then when we do our water rate studies, we take into account what those projected increases are going to be.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Councilmember?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I have a concern because I know that a lot of your funding comes from the federal government. So now with the uncertainty that is obviously obvious, because here we have children in this room because they have been affected by that. So how can we work on making sure that our consumers are not cut in the middle, or cities are cut in the middle on paying, even more fees because you won't get the funding, appropriate funding.
Yeah, so we've contacted every one of the federal agencies that are funding our various grant programs, and they've all indicated, and we've been able to access their websites and actually request reimbursements and receive reimbursements. So we've been lucky so far, but obviously there's no guarantee. Going forward, there's a lot of uncertainty in how things are going to play out. For the grants and programs that are already obligated with a signed contract and we're underway, we're doing the work, they're paying. For future work, for future applications, we don't know to what extent we will get awarded. And what we would have to do is, if we weren't able to afford to do those projects, is like Jake had said, we'd have to defer more projects, out on the timeline until there was a time when we would be able to get the grant funding that we needed to do the projects.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Hello.
Hi.
And following that, you mentioned deferred maintenance adding up to about 11 million. What type of things are we kicking down the road till later? What is the nature of those maintenance projects that aren't happening?
So there's a combination. So there was some lower priority maintenance O&M projects that we pushed out. That was like the $11 million figure. So the majority of those costs are involved with two different projects. One is the cathodic protection project, and one is the tank recoating program. So with both of those, we felt like we could push those off into the next fiscal year, some of the costs, without having any effect on the overall timeline. With the tank recoat program, because it is a very large multi-year one, and each one of these tanks costs a different amount, we had some rate stabilization built in there already, so it does take away a little bit of our ability to stabilize rates in a future year without pushing future tanks out. So, the exact effects aren't really known at this time, but we don't think that it's going to be a detriment to where something's going to fail during this period.
Okay. And we are continuing to do the tank recoats. We haven't closed down the program, so
No.
we're continuing to do the highest priority tanks, for example, and the cathodic protection that needs to be done so that the pipes don't rust. So those are all part of the program, and then ones that could get pushed out a year, we push them out.
Perfect.
And sometimes that might just mean that we're delaying a construction award a few months so that it hits in the next fiscal year.
Okay. And then can you just share a little more about the capital fund, the $10? I wasn't really clear on who pays that, and is it per acre foot? Is it per?
Yeah, so everyone on the aqueduct pays it. It's per acre foot. So it was zero the last 2 years, and that was an effort by the contractors served from this line to lower their rate increase. All three elected to put it back on this year. Santa Rosa does the same. They have an $11 per acre foot charge. And the Sonoma Aqueduct customers also have a much larger one because they have a lower user basis.
Okay.
But
It's a discretionary charge.
Yeah.
And the water contractors have control over that number. And obviously, in years when deliveries are higher and you're paying per acre foot, you're going to build up fund balance in that fund that is just for Petaluma Aqueduct projects specifically. You build up those funds, and then you can use those funds towards those projects, so it helps stabilize rates a little bit. Okay. So that's the purpose. And for many years, the Petaluma Aqueduct has had a capital charge, and then COVID hit, and floods and fires and other things, and it became really difficult to keep, to keep the rate increase down, but keep the fund balance up. So the Eli Booster Pump Station and the Wilford Booster Pump Station are both projects that Eli actually has some federal funding associated with it that we're using to offset some of the costs. But we do need the bond funding, because after we're completed with these two projects, you'll have run down the fund balance that's in that capital fund.
Okay. Those are my only questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much for coming down and to speaking to us, and thank you for the presentation. So just a couple of questions. So you mentioned that you're doing a lot of habitat, or have done a lot of habitat restoration work up at the Dry Creek. Have you done anything in our neck of the woods?
In terms of
In the water
habitat?
transmission system, no. I mean, we operate other enterprises, like our flood control stuff, so that we may have done it through other enterprises, but with the water transmission system, it's really related to the biological opinion in Dry Creek.
Okay.
And the habitat enhancement in Dry Creek benefits all of the aqueducts because it's so high up in the watershed. And so that actually benefits all of the aqueducts and all the customers.
Yep, and we have a very important part of the watershed down here with the Copeland Creek.
Yes.
Washes out to the Laguna de Santa Rosa. So just was a point of curiosity, but it leads into my next question. It's a hypothetical question. So kind of piggybacking on what Councilmember Adams said. So we're, as a jurisdiction, we're going to go into budgeting pretty soon. And we're going to have the same issues that all the jurisdictions are going to have, right? We've got flat or down revenues, sales tax, TOT tax, the whole bit, and increasing expenses. So hypothetically, given what you've said here tonight, if one of our wells ran into disrepair and we really didn't have the money to pay for it to get functioning again, would we in fact see a decrease in our water bill? Because now we're asking more water from you, and you were building the case that, well, the less water that you use, the more that you pay. So if we were to buy more water from you, would we pay less?
So if you were, we only set the rate once a year. That's in accordance with the restructured agreement that was signed by all the water contractors. So we only set it once a year. So if in the middle of the year, your pump goes out and you can't replace it and you start buying more water, that extra water, if it's over the amount that we put in the budget for you, assumed like, okay, Rohnert Park's, I can't remember the numbers, is going to purchase a certain amount of water. If you buy more than that, then that fund balance, the extra amount, goes into fund balance, and that fund balance is used next year to reduce the rate increase.
Right, so there'd be a true-up.
A true-up, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect, so that's great. And you say that you're going to go to bond for the Petaluma Aqueduct, right?
And common and storage facilities too, but yeah, Petaluma Aqueduct is.
Cool. So I certainly can't speak on behalf of my entire council, but we would love to see some consideration when you go and bond for the Petaluma Fund, that we have some consideration and participation in repairing some of the needs that we have here in our town as well, since we produce roughly, oh gosh, Vanessa's there somewhere. We produce about, what, 40% of our own water, something like that? Thank you. Yeah, so that's just, I don't know how my council feels.
They're nodding, I want to know what that means.
Okay, so what does that mean?
What?
Please.
He's saying is when you do your bond, we'd like some of those funds, and you're
Yeah.
nodding your head. Is that a
I'm-
yes, or we hear you?
Well, we hear you, we're listening, but the bonds that we apply for are revenue bonds, and the revenue bonds have to go towards our specific projects that are in our capital program. So there aren't extra bond funds that can go toward the water contractor specifically. However, we do have other programs like the Water Conservation Program, for example. We have a $2 million grant. We're passing that money through to the water contractors so that they can implement their own water conservation projects. So in that way, we try to, send the money back down to the water contractors when it's feasible to do that. But with a revenue bond, we're not legally allowed to do that.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't want to speak on behalf of my entire council, but we would love to see ways where there could be an acknowledgement of the fact that Rohnert Park produces an unbelievable amount of water, and see if some of our things down here that we need, repairs that we need, are included annually as part of this joint powers agreement. So that's just feedback, but thank you very much. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we don't have any department head briefings. Let me put my specs on here. So we'll go to public comment, and this is for anyone who would like to comment publicly on an item that is not on the agenda. And I know we got a lot of SSU folks here, and we're going to get to that real quick here, but do we have any cards for?
We have one for Mr. Peter Alexander.
Of course, perfect. Please, Peter, welcome.
Thank you. I like the way you said perfect. Appreciate that. Once again, you guys are my favorite city council in Sonoma County. So why in the world do women seek equality, when they are most certainly and clearly superior? This full blood moon is calling warriors to be arisen into action, busting corruption's prison. As women warriors arise to rock and roll with ferociousness of the heart, spirit, and soul, the trafficking of women, children, and animals would certainly cease, as all of us be seeking this place called peace. Sonoma County be the heart of the new and true promised land that must be claimed by the 40-day freedom strike command. For serving two masters maintains all disasters. 40 days non-cooperation with the system's greed, but long allowing all trafficking and wars and the slaughterhouse bleed. California students, according to the Hopi purification prophecy, be the most powerful ever as authority to sever, uniting corruptions to sever, uniting students across the West Coast into the 40-day freedom school strike till corruption is toast. These students be supported by veterans in labor as the freedom strike lays down the sword, yes, the saber. There's trafficking going on throughout the Bay Area as we speak. All kinds of forms, including in our courtrooms, in these courthouses in Sonoma County, in Marin County, with paid-off complicit judges, CPS, and bent therapists. Why did I have a $500,000 bail and a federal no bail back in '92 when anybody else would have had a $10,000 bail? Because I made public that NSA General Aquino owned properties in Marin, in San Rafael on 5th Street, and in Santa Rosa, 1212 4th Street, that had nonprofits with undue influence over Child Protective Services and all the child centers, as well as the judges. That's why I had that huge bail. I'm going to court. They wanted to make me a deal just recently. I got to have a trial at the end of the month for breaking a restraining order against a certain character that's been involved in these things. These courts, this DA that wants to make me a deal, they denied my information in 2006 in a Dateline sting that caught 29 men in Petaluma, including the most notorious, dangerous character the world has ever seen, Dr. Maurice Wolin, who was on the board of Chiron Pharmaceuticals in Emeryville with all the COVID patents. This COVID stuff did not come out of Wuhan. It came out of Emeryville. It was a military program. Facts are there. So I'm here to call upon the women warriors and the students to arise free of all compromise and lead this nation and lead the students, because you won't find any answers in the courts. And these people are here to serve you. That means you're here to lead.
If you could wrap it up,
down
Peter.
all this corruption and greed. You have all the power. This is the hour.
Peter, if you could wrap it up, please. Thank you, Peter. Near perfect. Okay, we've got to the consent calendar is next. Do any of my colleagues need to pull, comment, or recuse themselves on any item there?
I'd like to move the consent calendar forward.
Does that have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, we'll do a vote of affirmation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously.
It carries 4-0.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez is absent.
Yes, apologies. If it pleases the council, what I'd like to do, since we have all of these wonderful students here, is swipe 8A to 8B, and we'll hear 8B first, if that's okay. It is?
If I may, Mayor.
You guys hang
we do
tight
have
for-
Staff
What's that?
present. We do have staff present from SMART.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So we'll start 8A, and we'll turn it over to our clerk, Sylvia Lopez Cuevas.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a really short request. As you know, the Sonoma Marine Area Rail Transit SMART is requesting to use the council chambers in a conference room on March 19, 2025, from noon to 5, to have a board meeting and a closed session. It will require staff to be present to assist them with the technology. It will not require overtime because it ends at 5 p.m. and they're making that request pursuant to the protocols. Pursuant to the protocols, you are allowed to approve outside agencies to use your facilities if the request is made to you within 2 weeks. So that's it. That's the report.
Thank you, and I guess we have someone from SMART here would like to comment on this, or any member of the public would like to comment on this? No? No, seeing none? Okay. I will turn to my colleagues.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries 4-0.
401.
Thank you. Okay. Can I have the comment cards for 8B, please? So per our protocols, we have a 30-minute cap on public comment, so I only have 11 comments, so I could take 4 more comments cards if somebody would like to fill them out. And what we're going to do is we're going to call these groups up by 4, and we'll get, oh, wait a minute, I haven't even started the item yet. So 8B, I was so excited. We have 8B, which is discussion and necessary action regarding Sonoma State University budget cuts and the letter that we have provided for you. We'll welcome City Manager Marcela Piedra to give introduction to this item.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members, members of the public. As we are all well aware, Sonoma State University has recently shared their budget deficit of approximately $24 million. In order, as has been shared by the university, in order to address this budget shortfall, they have decided to eliminate certain programs and departments, also not renewing certain contracts with faculty, and also considering staff layoffs. In order for us, and recognizing that these types of actions do impact our community, our local economy negatively, you have before you a letter basically addressed to the governor and also the Chancellor Garcia, and also legislators to be able to consider any funding opportunities that may be available in order to support the university and be able to minimize the impact of those budget cuts in our community. The letter is part of your staff report, and if there's any questions, I would be more than happy to answer those. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So now we'll go to public comment. And like I mentioned, we could take 4 more public comment cards if you'd like. If not, we're going to call you up in 4 at a time. So first, if we could get John Sprague to come on up, and just behind John, we'd like to get Jack Brown to come on up. And just behind Jack, we'd like to get Cole to come on up. And finally, Cameron Neville, sorry. Please, come on. Are you reducing time? No, I'm not reducing the time. Yeah, it's 3 minutes each, yeah. Oh, never mind. That's fine. So we'll have to see how this goes. It looks like we're going to be right at the cutoff, so please, welcome.
Hello, my name is John Sprague, and I'm a student athlete at Sonoma State University. And I just wanted to come and talk to you guys about how much the athletic program here means to me. I'm a freshman, and I did not know that I was going to be coming here until about a year ago. So it was pretty late for the recruitment process. I could have gone to many other different schools, but I chose to come here because the promises that were made to me by my coaches and by the athletic programs. And it's just really disheartening to see that those promises are not going to be able to be carried out, and it's not even their fault. It is these cuts were being made unknowingly by our coaches. The players and the coaches found out at the exact same time, and for the cuts to be made by an interim president just seems completely unfair. She came here from Texas not knowing the culture and the environment that is created in Rohnert Park that is surrounded by Sonoma State University. And it is just really, really disheartening to see. I'm a freshman here, so I was really hoping to spend the rest of my years here, but now I have to go find somewhere else to play my heart out with my sport. I mean, sport is my entire life. Like, my entire life revolves around, we're all on the golf team, and we actually just got back from an event today. We played 18 in the morning, and we just drove back in the van and immediately came here to show our support and how much this means to us if the program can be saved. And it's just, again, it's just really, really disheartening, because who knows if I'll have another chance to go play a sport anywhere else, you know? Like, they took a chance on me here, and who knows if I'll get that same opportunity anywhere else, you know? So it should, yeah. really hard to see.
Thank you, John. Next, we'd like to welcome Jack.
How's it going? My name's Jack. I'm a senior here at Sonoma State. I recently transferred from another school which unfortunately got cut due to budget restrictions. So I was planning to come to Sonoma State to obviously finish out my college golf career, but unfortunately that's not really going to plan. So it's kind of why we're all here today, right? But no, I just want to say, like, Sonoma State, since being here, it's not only helped me grow in the game of golf, but as a person. And the way everything has unfolded these past couple of months has been unfortunate. And I just hope that the people in this room can hear everyone out that's here for Sonoma State. So thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you very much. Cole?
Hello, I'm Cole Croker. I'm a sophomore on the men's golf team. And just to kind of reiterate what my teammates were saying, the sports, golf, and the baseball team and all the other sports here, what the sports teaches me is so many different characteristics I have and will learn and will be able to take into my future life for my job and for my family when I'm older and all of those sorts of things. I learned that in my sport, and everyone else does too. And that's one of the things I'm most grateful for in my life, is being able to play and play at this level and learn all these different things. And the thought of me maybe not being able to play next year or go anywhere is very scary to me. And I'm sure it is to other people too. And, being here for just over a year, I love Sonoma and the small community and everything around us. I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. And it's too bad that there's so many people in the same boat, and the future generation of Sonoma may not be able to experience the same things. It's really too bad. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you very much. Cameron?
Hi, my name's Cameron. I'm from Bodega, California. Similar to my teammates, I would just want the president to think through what choice she's actually making. I don't think they realize how hard getting into a college for a sport is. When I was playing in high school, trying to impress Stanford and Cal and all these schools that everybody dreams of going to, it's so hard to do that. And my coaches took a chance on me, just like Johnny, and they invited me to come to their home and play here. So I would just ask that they would think through, one, how difficult it is to be in this position, but two, just think for a second before you rip it out of our hands, just like that, after years of work, just to think through.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cameron. Next, I'd like to call up the next four. Could we get Jess Simak, please, and Kim as well, and then Ryan Stewart, and then Caitlin, please. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Jess Stimac. I'm the assistant men's and women's golf coach. I wish our women could be here. They're getting ready to board a airplane ride back from San Diego. As Johnny just said, we just got back from a tournament in the East Bay, and traffic was not good. We barely made it, but here we are. I've been sort of outspoken on the topic, and at first it was kind of disbelief that this decision could be made and handed down the way it was. And then it turned to a little bit of second guessing, questioning, like, is this going to be real? And now that it's been almost a couple months, it starts to set in. And the reason I'm here today is to just ask for you all to fight for our players. Our players, our student athletes, don't deserve this. Their young lives have been impacted in ways ours weren't. Dealing with our political situation, COVID, everything that they've had to go through. At home learning, distancing, all that, relationships. I give them a hard time all the time. You know, it's their communication has been limited. Face-to-face, day-to-day communication. This is part of life, and college is a great opportunity, like Cole talked about, the characteristics that these student athletes develop. There's really no other place for it, and especially a big topic item right now is violence in schools. Without knowing for sure, I'd be willing to say that these violence going on at these campuses is not done by student athletes. Student athletes excel in the classroom. They've worked their tail off to be where they're at. And all I ask as a coach is for them to get the same fair shake that I got when I attended college and played golf. As it affects the community, I let the interim president know, just because she is sort of a new to town implant, this is going to be a serious trickle down throughout the community and surrounding communities if this is how the chancellor, it's the road they want to go down and set this precedent. All these kids have earned this right to play this sport and play for this university, and they deserve the opportunity to keep playing for this university. Thank you for your time very much.
Thank you, Coach. Kim, please. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kim Stemak, and I might get a little verklempt, as I like to say.
That's
I'm
okay.
Jess's mom. I'm a mom. I'm a mother to Coach and to the team. I'm honored to if something happens with them, we tell their parents, we're here, we can take care of you. So I want to talk a little bit about what that means. And I think I've said it, if you're a mom or a dad or someone you care about. When I got the call from my son, Jess, saying the program was not going to be here anymore, I had a broken heart as a mom and as a coach's mother and to this team. So I'd like to talk just for a couple minutes about funding. We have been through a Strawberry Eagle where their gym was the MMLC, which is a multi-purpose room learning center library. We needed a gym. We got a gym. We fundraised. We did everything we could in grammar school. Slater Spartans was a pretty easy couple years. They didn't need a lot of stuff. You go to Montgomery, Jess and I would have tournaments the Saturday after Thanksgiving so that we wouldn't have to take money from the booster club for the Montgomery golf team. You look at Bennett Valley Golf Club when they, once again, Jess said, Mom, they want to close Bennett Valley Golf Club. It was a grassroots effort that stopped that because it means so much to the community. So at this point, I would just like to say, I am in it totally. We didn't get a chance to fundraise, and I'll be honest with you, from my whole heart, we are good at it. You have a whole community that cares about these kids, that not only did these kids come in second place today, get back here, the girls in San Diego, they're still playing their hearts out, and their coaches are working overtime to make this work. So I implore you, and I promise you, my name is Kim Stemak, and literally, I promise you, we will pull together. I'll pull together every mom I've gotten from all those schools, and I am not kidding. And I'll bring Chico into it because, they didn't have a golf team when he graduated. So I make you that promise. Funding will come, and it will come from the heart. And I promise you, and that is for these kids, and as a mom for my son and for these kids. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much. Okay, Ryan, good evening.
What up, Council? My name's Ryan. I'm a senior here at Sonoma State. I'm the captain of the men's golf team. I just want to say that I'm from Petaluma. I'm a local kid. Sonoma State's been in my backyard my whole life. So for this tragedy to happen, kind of here and see all these people take a gamble and come to my home, and play for this university, I just don't want them to leave with a bad taste in their mouth, from someone that's been here my whole life. It's not what I want to see. Secondly, I'm a senior, so this doesn't really directly affect me, these cuts and stuff, but as a captain, I'm supposed to be a role model to these guys, and I see freshmen and sophomores that have built relationships, girlfriends, whatever it is, friends, all stuff that, I've been through myself when I was young. And for that to get stripped away from them and have to start over, you guys can imagine it's not great, right? To go to another school and have to start from scratch, that's something that these kids don't deserve. They worked their tail off to get here. And I mean, as a captain, it hurts me to see these guys have to do that. And we have our baseball team here, and they're dealing with the same thing, I'm sure. So yeah, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you very much. Good evening, Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I am an assistant softball coach at Sonoma State University. I grew up with Gerard Giudice's daughter, Bella, as well as Councilmember Adams' sons. So this is my hometown. This is where I grew up. I was born and raised in this community. And the second that I got the opportunity to come back and be a coach in this community, I couldn't help but jump on it. It means a lot to me, and to see it be ripped away is really, really disheartening. Our girls, not that any of them are here currently, but just as the gentleman before me was speaking, I, as a leader, really feel that no matter what athlete is being affected, we all need to somehow support them from the city level. Growing up, and I'm sure your kids have the same background of going to Sonoma State games, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, whether it's softball. That's part of what we grew up doing in this community. It's a small town feel. I couldn't help but be excited every time I knew that there was a game going on a weeknight evening as a kid. And taking that away from this community is huge. And I think that will affect the entire scene of Rohnert Park. I know that we're trying to bring this community up and build a downtown. And I think having athletics at a university is huge. Not only recruiting in the future for students to come to a university that doesn't have athletics. I don't know how likely that is. I think it's a very big selling point for future students to be able to have a sports or social background in that aspect. So I hope that you guys as a council can help us fight and save what we have generated and started and funded ourselves, not only through fundraising, but also through the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. So the next three I'd like to call up is Marcus and Amiria, and then Benjamin. Please come on up. Good evening, Coach.
Thank you. Get this going. Thank you for having us. I'd like to start by I'm a little upset with Jess's mom, Kim, for two reasons. First of all, she got me a little teared up. I noticed a couple there. And then a few weeks ago, she teased me with these little chocolate chip. It was shaped like a peanut butter cup, but it was like a cookie, and she hasn't brought them back since. So I thought that would have been a nice chance for her to bring it. But thank you for having us. I just want to talk about a couple things. Obviously, I played at Sonoma State. I grew up a mile from campus. Then moved to Sebastopol for 7th grade, but played at Sonoma State for 3 years in the 80s, and I've been a coach since 1989. We can get a lot into the decision and everything, but I don't think it was very well thought out. And we currently brought a lawsuit, which I think is going to bring out some of the things. But just the fact that I've been a coach for 36 years, and that I was notified that I was fired by email shows that either they didn't think it out very well, or they're not very nice people to do that. I felt very disrespected. But all that's going to come out in the lawsuit as things go. But the Sonoma State Athletics program has a big impact on Rohnert Park, as you all know. There's an economic impact with the 250 student athletes living in the area, shopping, going to restaurants. And then you have the visiting teams that come in, and I'm sure you're aware of all that, and then staying in hotels, eating in restaurants, that's going to be a big loss. And then I think one thing that's not maybe is missed sometimes is the impact that Sonoma State Athletics has on the whole county. If you look at youth sports, if you look at high school sports, you look at junior college sports, a lot of our former players are coaches, coaching the kids. And that if Sonoma State Athletics is cut, that's going to have a massive impact on the opportunities to be coached by somebody with some expertise in the area, because it's already difficult with the number of kids playing, and quality coaches are hard to find. And when you look at the coaching staff and you just look at the student athletes that we train, and how passionate, intelligent, how they communicate well, and I think that'll be a big loss. And then locally, the community, the camps and clinics that are offered to Rohnert Park kids, and then attending games, like as it was mentioned early, and just a sense of identity for Rohnert Park. So I really hope that you can throw your weight behind us and support us, and I appreciate you having us all here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. Good evening.
Hi. Thank you for having us here today. Just a little background. I am also a Sonoma County resident, wasn't born here, raised here, coached at every level, elementary, junior high, high school, junior college, semi-professional, all in Sonoma County. I've spent 19 years at Sonoma State. I was also informed I lost my job via email. The thing is here is we cannot let Sonoma State administrators make decisions that go unchecked. I just walked in on your meeting with the water company, and you're asking questions about excess water. Please acknowledge that we fund or we create 40% our own water. Why didn't Sonoma State administrators do the same for us? Why didn't they ask us questions? Why didn't they tell us how dire the situation was? Why did they tell us that they renewed our contracts only to extend it to give us enough time to matriculate our own athletes out of the university? It's unethical and it's immoral, and it cannot survive in this community. They disrespected Rohnert Park. They disrespected the residents here, and I don't think that we should allow that to happen. As a female athlete and a coach, 6 of the 7 people here are women in this room running this meeting today, okay? A female college athlete is more likely over the course of her career to earn upwards of $1 million extra because she has learned the assertiveness to negotiate for a higher starting salary when she begins her career. That affects families, it affects communities, it puts women in power, just like you. Our community produces strong women and strong athletes and strong people that eventually sit in your seats, okay? We have been advocating for the student athletes because somewhere along the line, someone advocated for us. I am a first-generation American citizen. I put myself through school, and I went to Sonoma State because I could afford it. This is being taken away from the student athletes that we recruited. And it's putting us in an unethical position because we recruited student athletes to a university that didn't offer them a future. As local government, I am asking you to fight for us the way we're fighting for our athletes and to keep this university here, because without that, it's going to be a stain on the community. It deserves to be here, and it deserves people at your level to please fight. Thank you.
No, thank you. And Benjamin's right there. Okay. Hi.
I was going to speak about Sonoma State, but I got the letter from the guy that presented earlier. So I want to talk about Elon Musk and Kash Patel. No, I'm joking. Clearly, I'm here from Sonoma State. I believe I'm here to support a proclamation or something coming from you to the university. And I know I called you, Gerard, as soon as this went down, and we spoke and had a great conversation. I understand the position that you're put in, having campus in your city. I know a long time ago, the students voted to actually remove themselves from Rohnert Park, or they attempted to go to Cotati, make Cotati their address. It didn't pass. So this is where the campus is, and your support is vital. So you know what's going on. A lawsuit was filed yesterday that is, one, alleging false advertising, essentially. Yeah, but on the other hand, that they didn't follow their rules. So you know there are certain rules, you know well, because you have to follow these transparency rules. The minutes to the meeting that they decided to cut athletics is still not up on the website. We know that they did not go through the process as required by California law to make this decision, because clearly they didn't speak with you. Clearly they didn't speak with the supervisors. Clearly they gave our Congress member, who we met with last Friday, they gave him the night before just a courtesy call. They did not consult with the community, which makes up Sonoma State University. I've coached at Ranch Cotati for 2 years back in the 90s. I coached at Sonoma State previously. I'm one of 11 family members that went to Sonoma State, 10 of whom have graduated. My brother spoke earlier. My father went to the campus, went to school before the campus was built, before it was finished. So he goes back that far. We will not allow this to happen in this manner. So you know, we're not going away, and you should get on the right side of what is right, but also this movement, because athletics has a powerful reach that goes across the county, from their school teachers, their counselors, their coaches, their parents, their lawyers, their doctors, or what have you. And it's vital that we have institutions like your own stand up and support such to go against such a stupid decision and stand in support of these young men and women. So thank you very much. And
thank you. And Madam Clerk, per the protocols, can I take this last card, please? Okay, it's from Brian. I'm going to get my glasses on. Brian Chang, please, we're going to take your comment, and thank you for making it.
Hi. My name is Brian, and I'm on the men's soccer team at Sonoma State. And I just want to share how these cuts have affected me. So,
Brian, is your mic on? I don't.
Is it on?
There it is. Okay, there you go. Now we can hear you.
All right. So my name is Brian, and I'm on the men's soccer team at Sonoma State. And I just want to share how these cuts have affected me. So. I attended UC Davis for 2 years before deciding to transfer here for the opportunity to play soccer at Sonoma because of its reputation and community. And while many people question that decision, I have no regrets and have found a strong sense of community at Sonoma State. And in my time here, I have also found a part-time job working with children in the Sonoma County, which I've enjoyed a lot. And I just want to say that athletics is an integral part of this community, and cutting it would send the wrong message to future students like myself who may consider Sonoma because of its sports programs or the community around them. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just another thank you to everyone who came out to speak tonight. The council really appreciates it. And before I turn to my colleagues, we're being asked to approve this letter to the governor and to the Chancellor Garcia. And I'm hoping that that's what we'll do tonight, but I'll turn to my colleagues and ask for comments, please.
Thank you very much. I would like to make a motion that we approve the letter before us for item 8B, letter related to Sonoma State University's budget cuts with a few minor changes. And then I'll make my comments. The minor changes are that we weave in the importance of athletics and the community spirit that rises from athletics in our town.
Hang on one second. So who's going to take some notes on this? Marcella, are you going to take some notes on this?
So I'll take some notes, and then if city clerk can also, just to make sure, obviously our meeting is recorded, so we can always go back, but we will make sure.
It's just going to need a second, so the second's going to have to. We're going to need clarity on the first. Sorry, please go ahead.
No, that's okay.
We're going to need specific language.
Yeah.
We'll get that. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the letter that's presented with a couple of minor changes, that somewhere in the first paragraph, that we weave in the importance of athletics and the benefit to the community spirit that comes from those athletic events, and the economic impact to Rohnert Park and the local economy if the athletic department leaves our city. So those are the two things that I'd like to add. And then I'd like to ask for a second if I could.
Yep. So does that motion have a second, and with the caveat that we're going to include those specific items?
I'm going to second that.
Okay, now let's open up the general discussion.
All right, thank you very much. So I've been watching you young men here, and I don't know if there's any young women athletes here today, but I have two young men in college. And just watching you sit here quietly while others are discussing your fate, to me, you've done an excellent job being respectful. Haven't seen one of you pull out your cell phone, and I wish that my boys, they could learn a thing from you. So thank you very much for your respect to us here today. I'm good. But thank you. All of us have children here. As I said, I have two college-age children. And Sonoma State holds a special place in my heart. It arrived to Rohnert Park the same year my family did. Sonoma State University used to be over behind, I guess it used to be 49er Pet over here in the Southwest Boulevard Shopping Center. Sis's Market, right? And so we used to walk down to the market, and we could see the college students behind there, and they'd come work over at A&W Root Beer, so it's been here a long time. We've had a lot of people in these chambers, but none have been as well behaved and respectful as you have, coming with such a serious matter before us. In a perfect world, we'd have a check for $5 million for you, but we do not have $5 million to give you. I know that you're all aware that funding for the universities, the CSUs, comes from the legislators. When the governor sends a budget out that requires them to cut 8%, they have absolutely no choice to cut that budget by 8%. And we can talk all day long about did they cut the right 8% or should they have not cut that 8%, but that time has passed. I don't think there's anybody involved in the process that would tell you they would roll it out the same way today as they rolled it out in mid-January, earlier this year. I think that this council is very, very sympathetic to your plight. I can't imagine one of my young college-age students. When Jackie was getting emotional, I thought, what's the matter with you? Big deal. I cannot imagine one of my college-age young men calling me up and saying, Mom, my whole life's been turned upside down. And I wish there was more we can do. But I will tell you, other than write the letter, I'd started working with Marcus Zemer and Jess and Val and some of the other coaches. We'll continue to work with them and see what local funding that we can work on raising. I know Samantha and I know other members of the council have spoken with our legislators personally, face to face, not on the phone and not via email, explaining them how important it is to us that we do something to keep athletics on the Sonoma State University campus. And we have not had any pushback from that. This is a matter of money. I'm with Jess's mother. I can't imagine how many bake sales you've been a part of, how many times you've rolled out money out of your own pocket to pay for things. But I appreciate the work that you've done, and all the other mothers have done as well, too. So with that, I'd just like to say again, thank you for coming. Thank you for showing the respect to us and understanding what we can do and what we can't do. And with that, I'll pass it on to Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Please, Jackie, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I myself have two kids in college. One in freshman, he's a freshman. And the other one just got back on track because of a reality that she got rejected from her dream university that she wanted to go. And having a lot of you that really had a second chance to come here, I feel like we have let you guys down. I wish I could have like that, the money to just say, personally, I will pay for the school to stay open. It is hard for me to talk when I am emotional because you guys are part of who we are. You are part of our community. You bring so much joy. And you know what? We're going to continue the fight. Me, on a personal level, I've been with you guys on the street. We have been protesting. We have been calling, like my colleague just said. We won't stop to make noise and continue fighting for you. And I'm sorry we let you down. You guys are the hope. You guys are our future. And I cannot believe that you are going through so much. It's not fair. And as a mom, I understand. We would do whatever, me personally, I don't want to pick on behalf of the council per protocol. Personally, I will do whatever I can to fight with you, to stand by your side until the end.
Thank you, Jackie. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'll just say that Sonoma State is a critical part of strengthening the fabric of our community, and we feel for you and everything that has transpired this year. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Sonoma State. That was the thing that brought me to Rohnert Park, California, and so I know how important it is to have that community feeding into the larger community, and we are so grateful for you being here. And like our council said, we will do everything that we can in our power to advocate for that funding, and I'm looking forward to sending off that letter of support.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. In 2005, I opened up a business called Sally Tomatoes. And I met a great guy named Frank Scalercio. Some of you have heard him. And for many years, for over a decade, I've had a sponsorship of athletics, more than $10,000 annually. And it was used for all types of catering and events, and you guys would come down to Sally Tomatoes, and I did that all pro bono. And I enjoyed doing it because of the vibrancy that you bring to our town. In 2013, when I was the Rotary president here in Rohnert Park, Cotati, Frank and I developed a brochure. We were doing brochures in those days, right? This is old school. And it was based on Rotary's ideal of vocational service. And we shopped it around to all the Rotary clubs in Sonoma County. We raised $50,000 in scholarships for athletes at the program. So, like my other council members, I am very vested in the university and all the various departments in the university. Sending this letter, and I appreciate what my colleagues have said, sending this letter is the right thing to do, and we're going to do this. And of course, personally, as the mayor of the town, my first response was, how can I help? And up to this point, we felt a little bit helpless, but tonight maybe we feel a little bit more hopeful. And so, I am willing to personally help, obviously. And I will tell you as an aside, and Jackie's right, or Susan's right, I have spoken to Senator McGuire, to Assembly Speaker Cecilia Aguilar Curry, to all of the other legislators that you saw on that Friday. You've got some of the most capable and powerful people in the state of California working on a potential solution. Obviously, that's above our pay grade, but just rest assured that I think, there will be some hopeful news, hopefully. So, with that, we have a motion and we have a second. And I'd like to take a roll call vote on this one, please. Aye. You want to fill in for Samantha tonight? Is that what's going on? Yeah, exactly.
Do you want me to repeat what they're voting on? Do we have enough clarification?
Yeah, it was captured, I think.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Councilmember Adams?
Yes.
Councilmember Elwer?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez is absent. Vice Mayor Sanborn?
Yes.
Mayor Yuriche.
Aye.
Motion passes by 401.
Thank you. And we're going to take a quick break because I think we all need one. And but before we do, we just want to thank you. But we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we're going to all stand and we're going to applaud you. We'll return in 5 minutes. Okay, we'll bring it back to order. Go ahead and proceed to item 8C. And Madam City Clerk, would you please provide the report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Well, I'm really pleased with this item because, as you know, we have been trying to recruit a member to the Building Appeals Board for a long time, and we finally got an application and with an applicant that meets the criteria, because this board is comprised of only 3 members, so the council needs to make a nomination of the applicant, whose name is Mark Nelson, and then vote on the appointment if the council so desires.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll turn it to my colleagues.
I just want to thank the staff for the extensive outreach you've done to try to find somebody for this position. Thank you. I mean, really, I've watched you, over the time try to find somebody. Congratulations and thank you to Mr. Nelson. And I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve this.
Certainly. Does that have a second? Does that have a second?
I will second that.
Okay. We'll go ahead and continue with the discussion. Do you have anything else to add? No, thank you. Councilmember? Vice Mayor? Neither do I. Let's have a vote of affirmation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Note the motion carries 4-0.
401, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and now, look, she's right here. Next item, the last item on the agenda, 8D, approve a resolution adopting the City of Rohnert Park Active Transportation Plan. And I'll welcome Vanessa Garrett to the dais.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. So tonight I'm here to bring back the Active Transportation Plan. This was brought to the City Council for discussion and direction on January 14th. We've since taken the comments that were given at that council meeting, and we either matched up if there's something existing policy-wise in the ATP, just to make sure those comments were incorporated. And then we did end up adding a new project, project number 71, based on some of the comments that came out of that study session, which would be to have a corridor study along Commerce Boulevard between the roundabout and Hunter Drive, specifically for lighting, pedestrian access, and bicycle use. So tonight, staff recommends that the City Council adopt the Active Transportation Plan as shown in the attachment through resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is a public hearing, so I'd like to open up the public hearing. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this? And I see we do have a speaker card by Steve Keith. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and staff. This cleared out quick. I'm here obviously to support active transportation programs. I'm really excited about a lot of the programs that are proposed. I think this it shows how much the staff and the council how much they believe in programs like this and the ability for them to improve the quality of life, mental and physical health of our residents and those who are fortunate enough to visit our town. I'm excited to continue to work with the city and staff and hopefully the school district in promoting active transportation programs as well. So good for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else from the public? Okay, we will turn to my colleagues. Questions and or comments or a motion?
I think the report was excellent, very well done. I think just, driving around, walking around, we have great bike paths and hiking trails and just, endless possibilities. I think the issue is, and you called this out in your report very clearly, that 76% use single occupancy vehicles. 10% of the population travels around town, uses carpool, 9% work from home, and 2% take other means of transportation to work. So the problem didn't seem to me to be, do we have all these great trails? It's how do we get people out of their cars and onto the street? And I look forward to hearing that report next. Thank you.
Council member, please.
Great report, and I'm looking forward to that report as well.
Vice Mayor.
Nothing to add?
Yeah, you know, to a certain extent, the success of our downtown really is going to count on us continuing these efforts, right? Getting folks down to the downtown, you know, that critical mass that it's going to take, whether they're walking over from the university, you know, these kids that we saw, or they're walking out of the sections, getting on our creek paths, et cetera, and going to the downtown, or just circulation in general around the city. It's really important. Of course, I live, eat, and breathe this up at Sonoma County Transportation Authority, so you're preaching to the choir, but we really appreciate the thoroughness of the report. Additionally, we appreciate you incorporating some of the comments and suggestions that we had. So yeah, I am very satisfied and ready to move forward, but before we do, I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve, right?
Yep.
And conduct a public hearing and consider the adopting the City of Rohnert Park Active Transportation Plan.
Okay, does that have a second?
I would like to second that.
Perfect. We have a motion and a second. We'll do vote of affirmation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the vote carries 4-1.
And for the record, could you please close the public hearing?
Didn't I close the public hearing? I will close the public hearing. Okay, thank you very much, Director Garrett. Okay, we'll go to committee liaison reports. Councilmember Adams does not have anything. Councilmember Elwood, Homeless Coalition, and then Sonoma Clean Power, please.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. So we met on February 26th for the Homeless Coalition Board meeting. And so the board received a progress report on the point-in-time count. Outreach teams are working to complete surveys that collect demographic information and health data for people experiencing homelessness. The surveys are the second part of the point-in-time count. County staff are following through on their commitment to share preliminary jurisdictional data with city staff before the final results are released. This meeting will take place in next month. I don't know what's going on with me right now. The official point-in-time count results along with the full report will be released this summer. And the second thing, county staff shared an update on funding challenges related to the new administration. So 4.6 million in HUD, continuum care of funding, was awarded to the county in January, but not been dispersed. County encouraged board members to contact state and federal representatives to advocate for this funding and question the delay of the disbursement. This funding is distributed by the Homeless Coalition to 9 homeless services programs across the county. Without this funding, at least 200 people will lose their shelter or housing. It's also fund coordinated entry and homeless management information system, HMIS. And we will be impacted too because if they cannot fund, we will be taking over certain responsibility because of that. So that will impact the city funding as well. County staff update, we welcome Nolan Sullivan, who has been hired as the new Director of Health Services. He previously served Yolo County in the Health and Human Services agencies. The Director of Health Services position has oversight of the County Homeless Service Division. So that is for the Homeless Coalition. And for the Sonoma Clean Power, so we approved to direct the staff to study the feasibility of expanding Sonoma Clean Power services to Clear Lake. So they will study the time and the cost of the feasibility of the project. On the legislative part, we received an update of 3 bills that we will be co-sponsoring. And this one, I will ask each of you to go and look at it and see what you think about it, because we're going to be voting on it. So the first bill is AB 526, AB 527. They're both from Pepin. And the third one is AB 531, Rogers. So go and learn about those bills and let me know before our next appointment, our next meeting, what you think about, if we should support or not. And we will receive an update on our events and community engagement effort. So this was really for our new board members, because we got quite a few. So there was just a reminder of what we have been doing. On the education side, we reached about 17,000 students, which was awesome. And through the partnership with Sonoma Water and some entities in the place. So it was really good. And we also received the 2024 annual report, which is looking really strong. And we discussed of investment opportunity for reducing the ratepayer cost over time. So we are looking at empty airports or places that are heavily polluted land, and because those places usually you can't really have homes there, and it's a perfect land site to build what we needed to build for electricity, and why not. Also, Hector Valesquez with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce came and spoke to the board about a new idea. It calls New Hub, and that will include a subcommittee. And we have Mayor Ferrer Rivas, Mayor Zolman, Supervisor Hopkins. The three of them will be part of that subcommittee that will study the new hub in order to bring it back to the board for finding ways to help not only Latino businesses, but also all kind of minority businesses. So that's the report for me.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I did not have any meetings since we last met, but on the 25th, I will have an update for Santa Rosa Plain and Zero Waste.
All right, so we didn't have the WAC. Okay, thank you. I will go Next, first we'll do Golden Gate Bridge. We met Thursday, the 27th, Friday, the 28th. Travel through the corridor still remains far below pre-pandemic levels. Bridge traffic is 28% below 2019 levels. And I thought I would kind of quantify that in terms of dollars so everyone gets a better understanding, because I've never done that, for you all. So basically 100,000 less cars traveled across the Golden Gate Bridge in January. What does that mean? It's about $1 million, and that's per month. So having said that, we continue to tread incrementally above 2024 levels, but we have a long ways to go. There's a lot of uncertainty with regards to federal transit administration grants resulting from claims by the ATU, that's the Amalgamated Transit Union, asserting that California Public Employees Pension Reform Act violates federal transit worker protections. So we're trying to work through that, more to come. As you may have seen or heard on Saturday, the 8th of February, one of the bridge's main circuit breakers tripped, causing a number of lighting and electrical issues on the bridge. Obviously, no laughing matter. Bridge staff worked around the clock to repair the issue. So this breaker was one of the original ones installed in 1937. So all of you engineers will... Now, normally breakers do not have that kind of a half-life, right? But this one was one of the original ones. And there we go. Moving on to SCTA, we met yesterday. Topics of discussion included climate funding strategy and opportunities under Prop 4, the climate bond, that may present itself. And I have a copy of everything you ever wanted to know about Prop 4, and I will give it to, I'm assuming, to Vanessa. So there, we can give that to the clerk. Talked about the Inflation Reduction Act and elective pay credit, which is very interesting, and I would encourage staff to take a deep look at that, because every time we do these environmental projects, there's an opportunity to get tax credits. And wouldn't that be nice, right? I know we're planning possibly putting solar on the community center and all these other environmental projects that we do. There are tax credits that are available. We discussed and finalized the draft of the comprehensive transportation plan, and staff should review it, and I've passed it along to them. We'll finalize this in a couple of months, I believe in June. So any input that you have would be very welcome. And that ends it, except I left you a nice little book on Measure M and the annual report for all my council members, and please take a look at it. And yeah, so that concludes my reports. Reports under Government Section Code 53232-3, North Bay Business Journal Economic Outlook Summit. I was not present. Were any of my fellow colleagues present?
For what again?
This was on the 27th, there was an Economic Outlook Summit.
I think Samantha was there.
Okay.
I was there and I saw her there, so yes.
Okay, do you have anything to report?
Oh my gosh, I didn't prepare anything.
Well, there you go.
I can say that I really appreciated the variety of entrepreneurs on the panel. The focus was on local entrepreneurship and how we can leverage the talent that we have here in the Bay Area, because as Dr. Eiler put it, we really need more young people living in the Bay Area. We're getting older here, so I think it was 18 to 35 is the target audience. I don't think any of us are in that anymore. So that was his that was his takeaway, was more young people in the area, and yeah, it was just a great panel. Lots of great ideas. I'm happy to share a little bit more, but the founder of Tia Lupita, the founder, which is a CPG, consumer packaged goods company, Stack Pack, which streamlines vendor management and contract management for companies that have a lot going on and want to centralize it. And then Jump Arrow, which helps first responders get to the scene of an emergency faster with these electric vertical takeoff plane things. Yeah, basically, instead of a long runway, it just goes up. And let's see here. And Operant Networks, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't know was in Rohnert Park, does network security, and Fireside also, that helps communities adapt to wildfire. So those were all of the speakers, including Brendan Hurley, who's the Napa Economic Development guru. So he shared a little bit about the Napa River and how the city has really planned around that as an asset as opposed to a liability.
But you didn't prepare any remarks.
Those were my notes that I took while I was there. Okay. So yeah, I guess I just needed to find them.
Okay, and then the Chamber of Commerce noon times, I won't make any comments only because I'm biased, and so is Marcella. So how did we do? Anyone want to make some comments? Okay. Yeah? Good, okay. We'll turn to communications, colleagues.
We really need Samantha here. She's our calendar.
Well, I've got a few, but
No, I'm good.
you're good?
I thought I had something, but I can't find it, so go ahead.
Jackie?
Well, I'm sure you're gonna do,
Okay. Emily?
just do it.
I do actually have one.
Perfect.
Not sure where I put it, but darn it. Council meeting. Sorry, when you have enough meetings and you take enough notes. Here we go. Thomas Page is having a bake sale at Oliver's Market. It's on March 12th, and it's going to be from 4 to 7. So if you have a sweet tooth and you appreciate portion control, hit up the bake sale.
Please.
Our Department of Public Safety have the award ceremony tomorrow at 6 p.m.
And we'll let Marcella chime in and talk about Conscious with a Cop. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in respect to Thomas Page, the bake sale is to support a project that they have in support of the Water for Sedan. Basically what it is they're trying to get, and the reason why I wanted to elaborate on that, because it's really noble that this, the class is looking at ways to provide better infrastructure and provide safe drinking water. So that's why I wanted to mention that. But with respect to the Conchas with the Cop, we're so excited that our Department of Public Safety is partnering with a new business that recently opened, La Reina Bakery, and believe me, they have very delicious Mexican bread and different pastries and coffee as well. They didn't pay me to say this advertisement, but just wanted to make sure, and I know our public safety officers have already gone out there and make sure that it's delicious, and so they have, La Reina has basically, agreed to do this for us. I understand our local CHP office and sheriffs is also participating, and it's this Thursday, March 13, from 4 to 6 p.m. So invite the community to go out there and enjoy a nice, delicious concha with our cops. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, and we appreciate public safety for their R&D on that one. Please go right ahead.
So I just there's a business in Rohnert Park that's opening something called the River Electric up on the river this year.
Okay.
And it's a business that's over at 577 Martin Avenue. And what they do is, let's say you're going to have a big party and you need some tents and some, whether you're going to just have people come in and have chairs or places to just kind of sit and gather. And as I was reading the article in the Press Democrat, I thought, that sounds really familiar. They're at 577 Martin Avenue. They've got a couple of really great companies there. So if you happen to see that article, that's one of our businesses that's going to have a brand new setup in Guerneville. Yeah, very nice.
Very nice. So just a few things from me. We all dug in the dirt on Saturday, and we planted a couple of dozen trees. That was really nice for Arbor Day. And so my compliments to Vanessa and her team. A lot of talent on that Public Works team. 3 arborists we have on staff. And of particular note, and I'm going to bring these children to a meeting on the 25th, were the 2 young men and the 2 young ladies who participated in the event. We had about 30 of us there, and it was a great time, and we all got a little dirty, and it was great. It was kind of like a team building for the council as well, so that was really cool.
Couldn't move for a little while after that.
Yeah, no kidding, right? And then also, Marcella and I had an opportunity to present a couple of the small grants. We did one at Tech High School yesterday, and a few days ago over at La Fiesta, and it was very well received. We were treated to a tour of the garden there, And that was amazing. They both have a demonstration garden and a vegetable garden. And I tell you, every time you have a chance to engage with these kids here in Rohnert Park, take advantage of it. It is so it's just stirring, right? Just how, as Susan said, how well behaved they are, but how engaged they are. And so we really had a great time doing that. So it was a fun-filled week for the mayor, to be sure. And thank you to Paul and to Marcella and everyone who organized that. Okay, adding agenda items at future council meeting. Anyone? Okay, public comment. Does anyone wish to? Oh, you're going to add an agenda item, or you're going to make a public comment? Public comment. Perfect. Go right ahead. Public comment.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say, invite everyone, we're having our networking breakfast next Wednesday, and Generation Housing is our featured speaker, and we all know how important housing is in Sonoma County. So if you can join us, we're out at Somo Village, catered by the famous and delicious Sally Tomatoes. So 8 to 9:30, hope to see some of you there. Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. And before I adjourn, just my compliments to the council on a very moving and excellent meeting tonight. This meeting is adjourned.